Elections are often seen as the foundation of democracy, a reflection of the people's voice. But what if that foundation was being tampered with? What if the very system we trust is being manipulated from the shadows? Today, on Mystery Archives, we explore one of the most controversial and polarizing topics in recent history, the conspiracy of election fraud in the United States. Is there really evidence of fraud, or is this just a carefully crafted illusion meant to divide us? From claims of rigged voting machines to foreign interference, the debate has shaken the core of American democracy. We'll unravel the facts, dissect the theories, and let you decide. Is this a real threat or just a clever story? But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to Mystery Archives. Hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest mysteries. If you enjoy exploring the unknown, give us a like and share your thoughts in the comments. It all began in 2020, a year marked not only by the pandemic, but also by one of the most controversial elections in US history. Donald Trump, the sitting president at the time, lost his bid for re-election but refused to accept the results. Instead, he and his supporters began spreading the theory that massive voter fraud had taken place. From that moment on, the Stop the Steal movement was born, with millions of Americans convinced that the election had been stolen. But what evidence supported these claims? Throughout multiple investigations, courts and independent experts found no significant evidence of widespread fraud, yet the theory spread, gripping the minds of many who felt disenfranchised. Could this theory be rooted in a deeper mistrust of the government? Do you believe there was fraud in the 2020 election? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. The idea of election fraud isn't new. In fact, accusations of voter fraud can be traced back to the early 1800s. In nearly every close presidential race, rumors of stolen votes and rigged results have emerged. One of the most notorious examples was the election of 1876 between Rutherford B. Hayes and Samuel Tilden, which was so contentious that it took a special commission to declare the winner. These moments in history planted seeds of doubt that linger in the minds of many today. The 1876 election was marred by accusations of corruption and voter suppression. This led to the infamous Compromise of 1877, where Hayes was given the presidency in exchange for the end of Reconstruction in the South. This election remains one of the most disputed in US history. More recently, the close election between George W. Bush and Al Gore in 2000 raised questions of legitimacy, particularly in Florida, where a recount was ordered and the infamous hanging Chad issue arose. These historical precedents fuel the belief that elections can be manipulated. In 2020, one of the main forces behind the spread of election fraud claims was social media. Platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube are built to promote content that generates interaction, and nothing sparks engagement like controversy. Millions of posts claiming election fraud went viral, despite many being based on misinformation. The viral nature of these posts ensured they reached a massive audience, and for many, seeing the same claims repeated over and over was enough to convince them that something was wrong. Social media algorithms prioritize content that engages users, and election fraud claims became a perfect storm of engagement. The more people interacted with the content, the more it was promoted, creating an echo chamber. A study conducted by MIT found that false information spreads faster than the truth on social media platforms. This is particularly dangerous when it comes to elections, as false claims can undermine trust in democratic institutions. According to the study, tweets containing false information about the 2020 election were retweeted 6 times more than accurate information. Have you seen viral posts about election fraud on social media? Did it influence your opinion? Let us know in the comments. Election fraud claims aren't just about misinformation, they're also about fear. The fear that your vote doesn't count, the fear that the system is rigged, the fear that powerful elites are manipulating everything behind the scenes. Many politicians and influencers have tapped into this fear, using it to rally their supporters. In 2024, some candidates are still questioning the integrity of the electoral process without solid evidence, because fear is a powerful motivator. It keeps people engaged. Fear has been a tool in politics for centuries. During the Cold War, for example, politicians often used the fear of communism to garner support for their policies. Similarly, the fear of a stolen election has been used by both parties throughout history to mobilize their bases. The danger is that fear can erode trust in the very institutions meant to protect democracy. But is this fear justified, or is it being manipulated for political gain? That's the question we need to ask. On January 6, 2021, the fear and belief in election fraud reached its peak. A crowd of protesters, convinced that their votes had been stolen, stormed the US Capitol in an event that shocked the nation. For many of these protesters, the belief that democracy was at risk drove them to take drastic action. But what led to this point? How did a belief with so little evidence escalate into such a violent moment in US history? In the aftermath of the Capitol riot, over 700 people were charged with crimes ranging from trespassing to assaulting law enforcement officers. The event not only shocked the nation, but also led to deep divisions in the political landscape. Polls conducted in 2021 showed that nearly 30% of Americans believed that violence might be necessary to save the country, a staggering increase compared to previous years. The aftermath of January 6th left deep scars not only on the Capitol itself, but on the national psyche. It raised more questions about the future of the democratic process in America. As we approach future elections, the question remains, can democracy survive the weight of these conspiracy theories? With new elections on the horizon in 2024, millions of Americans are asking themselves if they can trust the system. For some, the fear of fraud has led to calls for stricter voting laws and reforms. For others, the belief in widespread fraud has caused them to disengage from the electoral process entirely. This raises a critical question. What happens to democracy when trust in the system collapses? We are at a critical juncture in American history. With misinformation continuing to spread and political fear-mongering deepening divisions, the future of the democratic process faces unprecedented challenges. Will we see more protests, more distrust, and even violence in future elections? Or will there be reforms that restore confidence in the democratic process? Only time will tell. The question remains, can democracy survive this challenge? Do you believe that US democracy can recover, or are we witnessing its decline? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for joining us as we explored one of the most controversial conspiracy theories of our time. If you're intrigued by the unknown, don't forget to subscribe to Mystery Archives for more deep dives into conspiracy theories, paranormal events, and historical enigmas. Remember, the truth is out there waiting to be discovered. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next episode.